The following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Midwest, you're watching Beyond the Blast Doors live.
Beyond the Blast Doors on a Wednesday. Patty Jenkins is in Star Wars, and The Mandalorian Season 2 is about to come to an end. Chapter 16. We are going to rock and roll with predictions on this Wednesday night. As always, it's not just myself and myself being David Amilati. I'm also with Arzu, Amin. Arzu, how are you doing? Episode 101 on our way to 200 episodes. Let's go. Let's go.
Cross that milestone threshold.
We burst it open. There was a moment tonight where I was like, this week has been so overwhelming. I don't know if we should do the show. Maybe I should just cancel it with only 90 minutes of notice. And Mandy, my wife, turns to me. She goes, David, you just got to episode 100. If you don't do episode 101 tonight, it's never going to happen. The show must go on. And she's right, because today's a really big day for Star Wars fans. It's the anniversary, the 4-year anniversary, which is insane, of Star Wars Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So, Arzu, right off the top, I just want to ask you, like 4 years later, what are we still loving about this movie, Rogue One?
So, I still love the fact that it's such a, I mean, it ties into A New Hope almost immediately, but
right,
that it stands so well on its own still, that it exists as this sort of little emotional bubble in it. I think the longer I sit with it, the more emotional I get towards the end, when you realize like the sacrifice they're all making and stuff. Like the longer we sit with the movie, the more it hits me every time I watch it. And I think that's a testament of a good movie, that it just keeps affecting you more and more profoundly. Like the more you think about it, the more you're like, aw, rather than, oh, no. And then it all starts to fall apart. It doesn't fall apart is what I'm trying to say.
I think you're absolutely right. I guess I'm always blown away by the scale of this movie. Everything feels larger when it's the Star Destroyer that's over Jeddah, or it's the Death Star rising in the horizon, or it's this shot on our screen right now where it's, you know, the shadows, the use of light on the Death Star and the size of the Destroyer, just again to convey the sheer size of these things, the landscapes. Visually, I thought this movie was just a home run. And again, so what makes a good Star Wars story? Okay, I think you can really Diet Coke this. I think you can make it super simple. It's like a really fun story, great action, compelling characters, and somehow forward the overall story. And one of the knocks I think that we get on Rogue One is, well, all it did is set up A New Hope. Like, it's just a prequel. There's so much. The rich characters. And by the way, 4 years later, did anyone at the time realize just how stacked this cast was? It's ridiculous. And you fall for a lot of these characters. And like, especially that third act, it's so tense. And you're realizing, oh, wait, I've been playing in this world for about 2 hours. All these characters have to die. How is that going to play out? And there's Vader and there's Krennic and the rebellion. And it's just, I love this story so much. I think from a visual storytelling perspective, while the second half is thrilling, I really appreciate the first 45 minutes. The first act is great to me because of all the different planets we hopscotch to. Yeah, go ahead. Arzu, talked about that.
Like, it's just because the first half, like you said, that back half is stacked with action, but the first half is so like such a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they know we're not going to see these characters again. They know it's a one and done, but they take the time to set up everybody's motivations in the first 45 minutes, so that by the time you follow them into the action, knowing they're going to die, especially after you see it the first time, you care about them, knowing that they are expendable, knowing that they're not going to be back. They make you care first.
Oh my gosh.
45 minutes.
Absolutely. And I think
we have to, because we weren't going to see them again, but
right. Well, right. And then everyone's like, well, we need a Rogue 2, we need a Rogue 2. And it's like, that's not how the story works, fam. If you did pay attention to the last 7.5 minutes, you know why that's not possible.
We do have a Rogue 2. Isn't he in Empire Strikes Back?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That would be.
We do have
like a 2.5-hour movie of these guys like flying around in snow speeders on Hoth.
Looking for Luke.
Bullseyeing Wampas. Oh my God, that would be terrible. What if that was? What if it was this like 2.5 hours of like, we got to find Luke. And then it's like 45 minutes later, it's like, we still haven't found Luke. That would be the worst Star Wars story.
Be careful what you wish for kind of
all time. The movie did have controversy, to be fair. There was like this whole issue with some scenes shown in the commercials and the trailers that didn't actually end up happening in the film. They recut the third act, for better or for worse. I'm going to assume better, because everyone has to die. They all die. And then you get this like 2.5 minute sequence. Well, it was maybe like a 1.5 minute sequence of Vader just wrecking shop in that hallway. So you get a glimpse of what Star Wars as a horror film would look like. I think it's great. I thought Gareth Edwards did a great job. If you want to give Gilroy credit for coming in and working on that third act, by all means, I thought it was gold. But I think 4 years later, this movie really does still stand up. And to me, it is a top 5 Star Wars film. And we'll talk about it later in the show. You got all those new announcements for Star Wars for the next several years on that Disney investor call. So the list of movies is just only going to increase. And then overall, that list of Star Wars story increases when you add in the live action series on streaming, when you add in the comics, when you add in the books. I think Rogue One for me will always be a top 5. I thought that this was mission accomplished. You found a way to create a gritty Star Wars movie that had the essence of the original trilogy, but had like that modern flair that was really compelling. Arzu, anything else you want to shout out about this movie while we celebrate 4 years of Rogue One?
No, I can't think of anything in particular, except that I am excited for the upcoming Andor series, because like I said, they make you care about Cassian knowing he's going to die, and we are getting more Cassian. And
they're shooting it like a movie, so it should be really exciting for fans. I hope that means the scale is similar to Rogue One, because like you and I both mentioned, what we love about that movie is the world building and jumping to all the different planets and getting behind the scenes of how the rebellion operates. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Want to take a moment real quick and just shout out everybody that's with us in the live chat right now. Really enjoying this. And everyone's talking about Rogue One with us, which is so much fun. But we have Matthew, Apprentice Ewok. We've got All Remaining Systems. We've got Galanorian with us. We've got a lot of familiar faces. We got the Kiki Waffle in the house. All right, Rogue One is the best, they say. We've got Nick, Melky, and others. So really enjoy everyone being here to talk Star Wars. Do us a favor real quick and go ahead and share this stream right now on your social media. Let us get the live chat bumping. We also got Phoenix Nightflame, a new face. I'll put the third act of Rogue One up against any other act in all of Star Wars, aside from perhaps the third act of Return and third act of Revenge, probably right behind those two acts. I think that's a really good take. I'm going to be honest. I think, again, that movie really holds up for me. And so I'm probably going to watch it to go to bed. It's my comfort movie. Do you have a movie that when you're having a, kind of a day, you just have to, you throw on a movie? Rogue One is my comfort blanket.
Movie, though, but yeah.
Is it a Harry Potter movie?
It's not.
What's your comfort movie?
Ever After.
Is it really?
It is.
Is it? Why?
Why not? It's an amazing movie.
Okay. All right. I'll respect that.
I have a life outside of science fiction, David.
I believe you. I believe you wholeheartedly. Is it the script? Is it the acting?
It's all of it.
Oh,
it's a comfort movie. It's the whole thing.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And how dare I question your comfort movie? When I asked you the question, I should just be that friend who is supportive. And I shouldn't have doubted it. And
I have a comfort Star Wars movie, but that's a question on its own.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's go ahead and dive into this, because it's our first topic of the show here on Beyond the Blast Doors Live, episode 101. The Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 16, final predictions. Arzu, what do we need to know?
Okay, so I feel like the only thing that went by faster than this year was the second season of The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the season finale, Chapter 16, coming up, and we have a lot of questions, like where is Gideon? Is Grogu okay? That's my big question. Will somebody die? Will we see Mando's face again? What's going on with Boba and Fennec Shand? What's their plan? So we've got Chapter 16 coming out this Friday, the 18th on Disney+. So, like I said, my big question, David, want to know your opinion. Is Grogu going to be okay?
I think for merchandising rights, I hope to God he is. No, I really do think that Grogu is going to live. There's a lot of concern that Grogu's not even going to make it out of the episode. I think that's kind of silly. Let's be realistic. They're going to keep Grogu through this series because of how important this character is to the core story of this story, and that is that father-son relationship with Din Djarin. Now, the better question, I think, might be, will Grogu be with Mando at the end of this episode? I think no. I do not think that Mando will be successful in not recapturing, but saving Grogu. I think this season ends with the bad guys winning. Grogu will still be in the hands of Gideon. I think this is because if you go back to the first season, how did it end, right? Mando goes off into the sunset with Grogu, and you have Gideon barely surviving, cutting himself out of the TIE fighter with the dark saber. And so I think it's going to be a reversal role. I think Mando and company is going to have to flee and try again. I think what we saw in the last episode, the end where the Mandalorian, where Din sends that hologram and is like, yo, I'm coming after you. He uses Moff Gideon's words against him. I think that's a flex. I think it's too early. I think Moff has a lot of tools, including a lot of dark troopers. So I do not think that Grogu ends back up with the Mando. Grogu is definitely going to be around for season 3, 4, and season 5 if they decide to go that far with the story. What do you think, Arzu? Am I missing something?
I think you make a valid point, because you're not the only person I've heard who thinks that Grogu isn't going to wind up back with Mando. I personally, I don't know if this is me thinking or me hoping, but I think Grogu's going to end up back with Mando. I think we're going to have this like emotional moment between father and son, and then something's going to happen right at the last second. If some Jedi gets in touch, or I feel like it would be that. It would be something on their end, like a Jedi getting in touch or something happening with them. Maybe Grogu's first words. I don't know. And then the thing with Gideon, I think, is they're going to just get away. And season 3 is going to be about staying away from Gideon, because Moff Gideon was like in this season, but he wasn't, in every episode pursuing them every time. Whereas I feel like maybe season 3 is where he's more specifically pursuing them. We kind of know why he's pursuing them, maybe. And then Bo-Katan can kind of intersect back in with this plot for season 3. So that's what I think. But to basically go back to the original question is, yes, I think Grogu's going to be back with Din by the end of the season.
I think that's really interesting that you say that. And I'm glad that we're on the same page there. I think where we might differ drastically is, what characters do we think will be in this culmination of season 2? Because you're going to have Mando. You're assuming you're going to have Cara Dune, Boba Fett, Fennec Shan. But are we going to see an Ahsoka Tano come back? Are we going to see Bo-Katan and Night Owls make a return? Arzu, do you think it's likely that we'll get kind of all the action figures in this episode? Maybe that's where the plan goes wrong. Maybe Mando's hoping that Bo shows up and she doesn't.
I'm thinking Bo is the escalation for next season, because, Mando kind of took on Moff Gideon on his own with like a couple people last season. Mm-hmm. And then this season, he's taking on Moff Gideon with Boba Fett and Fennec Shan now as new members of his group. So I think the way that they build on that for season 3 is Bo-Katan, and then it becomes about the Darksaber. I don't think Ahsoka's coming back. I think Ahsoka is going to be... I think she was in this show to set up the spinoff, because we know from the Disney call that was like 2 weeks later that they immediately announced this live action Ahsoka. So I think they wanted to have that set up before they made the announcement. So I think that's why she was in this season. And she did serve the plot. I'm not saying she didn't, but I don't think she's going to play into his sort of like the end of season stuff. And I don't think Bo-Katan's come back either. I think that's a season 3 thing.
Really interesting take there. And I agree with you. I think Ahsoka was set up for her own live action series. If you have not watched it already, first off, big shout out to the Star Wars show. They are going on a hiatus, and they went out with a bang today with a great episode. Andy Gutierrez did an interview with Dave Filoni. He talks about how special it was to him to bring Ahsoka to live action, and how that was inspired by George Lucas, how George Lucas made Dave Filoni feel he could direct live action, because live action directing was not an original ambition of Dave Filoni. So if you're a fan of Dave Filoni, Ahsoka, The Clone Wars, go check that out. Also, make sure when you watch that on YouTube, you drop a comment and give some love to the crew at the Star Wars show. They've been going strong for 5 years, and a lot of fun, a lot of inside looks at the franchise. Be sure you check that out. Also, I want to give a big thanks right now to Gannon136. Patrick dropping the super chat. He says, Giancarlo said his character will be expanded in further seasons. Will he survive and still possess the Darksaber after the finale on Friday? Patrick, thank you so much for that super chat. It means a lot. Of course, all the super chats help support the show, help us grow. We always love answering questions. So thank you for your generosity. Yes, if you want to send in a question, you can super chat it. You don't have to, but you always can. I think let's go and talk about that, because the Darksaber is kind of a plot point, right, Arzu? Like, is Bo-Katan getting this thing at the end of this season, or is Moff Gideon holding on to this thing?
I think he's going to keep it, just because I don't think Bo-Katan's coming back, and I think this is more her thing than Din's thing. I don't think that's what he wants. Mm-hmm. I'd be surprised if he even really knew what it was. So I think he's gonna keep the Darksaber, and they're gonna hold off on sort of having that fight for it until Bo-Katan comes back, maybe in season 3 or season 4 or whenever. Because when she goes in to like get it from Moff Gideon, I don't think she's letting him walk away from that.
Fascinating.
So I would love. I think he's got the Darksaber.
Yeah, and like I would prefer. I mean, like if it's my perfect world, I would love to see this go to season 3 and the battle is on Mandalore. I mean, but I could be wrong. Maybe this episode does take place on Mandalore, and that's a question of itself. Are we going to Kamino, or are we going to Mandalore? Where do you think we're going?
I think we're going to Kamino. I think because cool. I think Kamino works for a couple of reasons, because you got the cloning thing with like Dr. Pershing and his Kamino patch, so that's probably where he is. And I want my boy Dr. Pershing back, so that's that. And then if they're working on clones at all, then they have to go to Kamino. Plus, Boba Fett grew up on Kamino, so he knows his way around. So that sort of, from a plot standpoint, works for Team Mando as well. Oh, so God. I think all the pieces are there for the last episode to take place on Kamino. Plus, it would tie it back to the prequels, which I would love. So
we love that canon connectivity.
Exactly. You know how I like my Star Wars tapestry. So, so yeah.
Going back to his home planet, I wonder if Boba gets like flashbacks and nightmares and really struggles with that, just because because he doesn't have any connection with the clones, I'm assuming, or maybe he does. That would be wild. What if you hear Boba Fett refer to his brothers? That would blow that would be, to me, really deep, because like with the clones, you always get this like morality question of like, do they have souls and are they individuals? And a lot of that kind of gets answered through the Clone Wars series. That would be so much fun. The last question that I have regarding Mandalorian, and we've had several predictions already. We've talked about where we think we're going. We're thinking about who might show up. Will Grogu live or not? Will Grogu be there next season? Of course. But could we lose someone in this season? And a lot of folks that are interacting with us on Twitter, you can always reach out to us at BTBD Star Wars, think Boba Fett is the most likely to die in the season finale. So his ship can be given to Din Djarin to continue the story. How you're reacting to that? What's your take?
Okay, 2 weeks ago, I would have said that's fine. Let him die. I would be so upset if they kill him off. I've gotten so attached to Boba Fett in the last 2 weeks that I would be devastated if anything happened to him. So I'm really hoping nothing does. Maybe Din will get a new ship somewhere, maybe on Kamino, and then Boba Fett can keep the Slave One. But they finally made Boba Fett, in my eyes anyway, really, really interesting. So it would be a shame to kill him now.
I agree with you. And I want to know what you watching or listening feel about this chapter 16. It's the final episode of The Mandalorian season 2. Like we just said, it drops on Friday, December 18th. And we're going to do a big live call-in show Friday night to celebrate with you. Everyone here on the network is going to be live on Beyond the Blast Doors Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. That would be 6 p.m. Pacific time, and we're going to take your take. So make sure you have your webcam and mic set up, and we'll let you call into the show, and you can drop us your hot take from the season finale and see if it meets your expectation. Before we go on to the next topic, and what's crazy is like you have Nick coming on here. Oh man, Boba on Kamino. I hadn't even thought of that. Any word on Update Watch Party yet? Not yet. We're still trying to figure that out. It's just it's a matter of resources and timing. The call-in show is going to be a pretty big deal. Like, we might even move it up an hour so it can go longer. So we're working through that. But the Patreons will be first to know. Apprentice Ewok, Boba will see the Darksaber and be in awe and tell Din about its importance. That would be cool. I like this comment from Gilster because, we've talked about Mandalorian last week. Like, we've had Streaming Stars, we had the call-in show. But, like, one thing that we didn't get to talk about yet, and I love your take, Arzu, real quick. There's something about Mayfeld. That character to me is so good there's like this like depth here of like this Imperial who realized the Empire's messed up and like gets like a redemption arc in the story. How did that work for you, particularly the way that this character is brought to life by one of the great comedians of our time right now?
First of all, I did not see that for Bill Burr, so good for him, because I didn't think he was capable, but he proved me wrong. So I am a big fan of a redemption arc. I am a big fan of stormtroopers sort of getting there, because like so many of them are brought in as children, so many of them are brainwashed. So anytime they are given that depth to sort of take the step back and process what they've been through and process their trauma and their PTSD and all that, I love when they do that. I love when they're not treated like a mindless, brainless horde of white plasmoid wearing soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we were given that space and time in this episode was great. Like more of this, more living redemption like Mayfeld gets, more of this kind of stuff.
That dialogue, that 2-minute exchange felt like an eternity, really, where you have Mayfeld talking to his former superior. That is one of the best Star Wars moments to me, because it is taking what is the greater good and the common good, and you get in this like philosophical debate. And I think it's some of the most compelling Star Wars. I'm not joking. That is some of the most compelling Star Wars we've gotten in years, because like I took philosophy in high school and college. Everybody talks about the greater good, but the common good is what lifts society up. The greater good is what helps the minority. The greater good is what helps the Empire get to power. It's the common good that is what inspires the rebellion and gives people hope. The idea that we can all rise up. I think it's really cool. And then like the whole approach of, well, people don't want freedom, they want order. And the Empire is here to do that. You got some big concepts that have this facade of Star Wars, but it's an incredibly deep conversation. And to me, it's just one more layer of what The Mandalorian just consistently does right. I thought season 1 was great, but season 2, without having seen the finale, is already drastically better. And I cannot wait to see what they have. If they can top this in season 3, I mean, it is going to be really hard to keep fans entertained, because the standard seems like it's going to be so high, Arzu.
Yep, I agree. Like Star Wars works best when they sort of, the pew pew and the action and the spaceships and all that is really cool. But when they take a step back from that and sort of start asking the bigger questions that apply outside of Star Wars as well, like they did in this episode, like they do in some of the movies, that's Star Wars at its finest. And we got that with that conversation, which was just so tense. It seemed like it was so long. And you're right, it was only like a couple minutes, but
I think he shoots them all. Oh, goodness, we didn't even talk about the fact that we saw Din Djarin's face and his wonderfully groomed mustache.
I screamed. Like, I know it's Pedro Pascal in there, and I still get surprised. Like, when he takes
a nice stash.
Well, like, he needs to keep it clean and pretty for himself,
I think I support male grooming, so I thought it was a really great thing to see there. Let us know if you like Din Djarin's face. I'm sure we'll talk about it here in the bottom half of the show. You can tweet us that at BTBD Star Wars. Yeah, just tweet about Pedro Pascal's face. I'm here for it. Live chat is having a really good time, so it's really cool to see everyone here with us. A lot of, everyone, they're like, give us Luke. No, don't give us Luke. The live chat is just going wild. Josh, you got to see what I got going tonight. Oh, this is great. So we got a lot of cool people in the live chat again. We got Cannon Chunky. So that means that we got Jerry from the Bomb Badcast with us. We got 2med2 with us as well. So the crowd just keeps growing and growing. If you haven't already, be sure you do us a favor. Share this live stream right now with your friends on social media, and let's get more people as part of our Star Wars conversation. So right now we're going to pivot to Star Wars comics real quick. Because that's what we love to talk about also on the show. Arzu is going to take a couple minute breather. Arzu, you absolutely crushed it. We'll talk to you in a couple of seconds, all right?
All right.
I said a couple of seconds. I meant to say a couple of minutes. I was wrong there. She's going to be waiting a little bit longer than I just told her. I hope she forgives me. With that said, though, we're going to keep moving along. Joining us now live on Beyond the Blast Doors. Live, we got Miss Marie Wilson.
Hey,
my favorite thing about Marie, every week that you come on, you're like, I give you the intro. You give like a solid second just to make sure, like, and then you just come in with the energy, and I freaking love it. We got a banger of a comic this week because we have consistently said on this show that if you do read Star Wars comics, you need to be reading Greg Pak's Darth Vader. And if you don't read Star Wars comics, but you're kind of like, well, I got a couple extra bucks a week. Okay, well, you only need a couple extra bucks a month. You should be reading this series.
Mhm.
I want to know, what do you mean? I read your review on BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. I thought you crushed it. Talk to me about verbal gymnastics in this issue, and why that mattered to you after reading this issue, Darth Vader #8.
So the Eye of Webbish Bog goes off on this philosophically mind-bending tangent with Vader, as Vader's like attacking all these beasts that are coming at him. The Eye of Webbish Bog talks about being chosen and choices and doing the choosing, and what is Vader really, what does he want? What does he need? Does it matter? And it's like this circular logic about being chosen and making choices, and he uses, I think in one snippet, one quote from the comic, he has a different form of the word choice like 10 times. So it's a lot to think about. It really is, because did Anakin have a choice? And what would he have chosen if he did have a choice? Would he choose to be the chosen one, or would he choose to make his own choices? So it's a lot to think about.
I think that's a really cool dilemma that you're talking about. And you know, we kind of end up talking spoilers about these comics, but we don't give you every detail. So it's still worth your money to go and get them and collect them. One, for the cover art, I thought the art this run is fantastic. And I'm going to do a little shameless plug here. If you haven't already, after this episode, check out Hollow Chronicles. It was live Monday night. Josh and Andy talk about all things Star Wars collectibles. They do a really nice job. It's really cool to me how much their show has grown. Like, it really feels like the place to be on Monday nights, talking about Star Wars collectibles. They had me on. I'm not promoting that, but I did get to show off some of my favorite comics that I have, some comic covers. I got to show off some Charles Soule comic books that he had signed for me, and a few older books. Check that out. It was really fun just to nerd out about those older books. And Marie, honestly, like, that's something that we don't do. And maybe we should do that next week. Maybe we should dig through our comics and we should just find a couple of books that mean a lot to us. And maybe we'll share those next week. I think that could be a lot of fun, because we're always talking about, here's the book this week. But like, I have a love affair. With some books from 2015, 2016. And so I would love an excuse to dig those out. So we'll do that next week. Real quick before we go, though, there's a little connectivity this week to the Rise of Skywalker. Can you explain that for us real quick?
So the Eye of Webbish Bog is a creature on Mustafar that lives in a cave, and in the novelization of Rise of Skywalker, you see the Eye of Webbish Bog in like this lake. So, of course, between the point that this comic takes place and the Rise of Skywalker, a lot of natural changes happen on Mustafar. But at the this is a little bit of a spoiler. But but at the end, after the Eye of Webbish Bog asks Vader, do you think you passed the test or do you think you failed it? And there's not really an answer to that question, but he provides him with the Wayfinder.
Oh, that did happen. I knew that because I read the review and I read the comic book. But yeah, I mean, talk about some like connectivity there. And again, this is a great example, Marie, of how comics can really enhance your appreciation and understanding of the movies. This is a great example of that. So maybe not an issue that has the most action. It's really hard to beat that first arc of this run with Vader going to Naboo, but like, this is still something. It's still like a pivotal moment, and I want to explore these Wayfinders more. I kind of thought going into Rise of Skywalker, we were gonna get some play with the holograms, the holocrons. I'm sorry, and we didn't. We got Wayfinders, and you know what? They're cool too. And I'm gonna do a little bit of a tease real quick, Marie, before I let you go. I believe tomorrow night I might be joining Lords of the Long Box. They're with us in the live chat. TiVo is great. They do. If you like DC, Marvel, Vertigo, like any comic book, you should check them out. They at this point they are like us, and they go live every night with something. But I think I'm going to be talking about books that are going up because of all this Star Wars news, and I have a feeling like we're going to be talking about this bad boy here for a little bit. And I don't know if you have this one in your collection, Marie, but this is the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano. Well, not live action, but this is her in comics. And it was a comic that I think a lot of people kind of just scoffed at, kind of tied to the animated series. But really, the value there didn't start spiking up until Star Wars Rebels. And then there were rumors of a live action Ahsoka something. You got her in Mando, and you got her now with her own live action series. So that's a book that is going to grow in popularity. So I'm going to be talking probably about this book and a few others tomorrow night with Lords of the Long Box. I'll put some of that information on my Twitter, on my personal Twitter. But Marie, you absolutely crush it with your review. I keep taking Greg Pak because I want Greg Pak to see the work that you do and your honest reviews of his books. Because I can tell you that you have a lot of fun writing them. If people want to follow you and continue the Star Wars conversation with you, what's the best thing for them to do?
You can find me on Twitter at Alia Morgaine.
Well, that's as simple as enough. Ladies and gentlemen, she is the incredible Marie Wilson. Marie, have a great rest of your night. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. Bye.
She's the best. Marie Wilson with Beyond the Blast Doors. Every Wednesday, she's dropping a new review of the latest and greatest Star Wars comic. That way, you either don't have to, or you can read it and be like, wow, I'm inspired. And now I'm going to go read more Star Wars comics, which is always really great. Hey, we got Josh in the live chat, which is exciting. Josh from Holo Chronicles, he's with us. And, you never know if he might even pop in the show. There's a possibility of it. But sometimes it also feels like kind of unlikely. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, if he checks his inbox on his Twitter account, maybe he'll actually be on the show. We don't know. Hey, Arzu. So you weren't part of that conversation, but like Star Wars comics, like, hey, like if people enjoy them, that's great, right?
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Right?
Now, so
You're the book. I love this cover. I'm gonna flash it one more time. I love this cover. It's Anakin and Ahsoka. Yeah, looking out. Oh God, I love it. It's really good. All right. So I think what we need to do here is I'm just wallowing in how much this week was rough, and I'm having so much fun tonight. I'm so glad to be visiting with you, Arzu. So glad to be with everyone in the live chat. I want to keep the good times going. And I put the lower third up there again. So I want to say something real quick because it is Happy Birthday, Rogue One. So one thing I really like about Rogue One is careful, Dr. Krennic, don't choke on your aspirations. I love that line. People crapped on it. They said that's not Vader. Vader with horror and humor. Mwah, chef's.
Okay. People think that's not Vader. People forget Vader is Anakin Skywalker, who has exactly that kind of sense of humor.
Girlfriend, you know what I'm talking about. And we're going to do the next topic of the show. We're just going to keep it rolling here on Wednesdays live, Beyond the Blast Doors live. We're glad you're with us. And what's the topic we're talking about? That's right. What is the importance of Patty Jenkins in Star Wars? Arzu, what do we need to know here?
Okay, so we had the Disney investors call on the 10th of December, and there was a lot of Star Wars news. So I know it feels like it was an eternity ago, but we got 10 titles announced. So we've got Mando season 3, we've got Ahsoka, we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, but the biggest surprise and what we're talking about tonight is the fact that we're getting a Star Wars movie in 2023, directed by Patty Jenkins, director of Wonder Woman 1984. So that's 3 years from now. We've got 3 years to talk about it, 3 years to speculate. We don't even know who's writing it yet because she said that's going to be an announcement on its own. So it was a lot. It was a lot to process that night. So yeah, that's what we're talking.
This is going to be, I'm already going to go ahead and say it. The fact that she's teasing this movie already as the best fighter pilot movie of all time gets me so excited because you have Patty Jenkins, a titan in Hollywood right now. Don't kid yourself. Patty Jenkins is arguably the greatest directing talent in Hollywood right now. Wonder Woman 2. She's got a TV project in development already. I am so excited. She's a box office success. She's great with character development. I'm going to say something that might be controversial. I don't know if Gal Gadot is the greatest actor on the planet, but you know what? The growth that we've seen especially with Patty Jenkins at her side through Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84. Listen, I'm ready to go. Star Wars Rogue Squadron. I think the question on a lot of people's mind is, who is this movie going to involve, and when does this movie take place? So we know it comes out in 2023, but Arzu, everything that I have read points to this is happening after episode 9. And then there's also some conflict with that, saying that they think that this is going to take place after Return of the Jedi. And so I was curious, when you learned about this movie and your research, where are you hearing this series is taking place?
I feel like what I hear is a very even split down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So my inclination is to think that it's after Return of the Jedi, because we're sort of exploring that time period through the TV shows, like with I guess we don't really have anything after Mando until Resistance starts, right? Like there's still that whole gap of time. So my thinking is that's when they're going to set it. I feel like they want to fill in that entire time gap, and then they'll feel free to move, because the books cover that quite extensively with a lot of pilot-oriented material.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just why I keep thinking that that's where they're going to set it.
I think it'll be really interesting. I want to know the characters, because if it's post Return of the Jedi, I mean, you could arguably have Wedge, you could have a Kaz from Star Wars Resistance make a live action debut. That seems like an option. I think a lot of people automatically went to thinking that this was going to be a comic adaptation, because you have the comic Rogue Squadron, you have, well, more notably, you have the video game. And so people are wondering if that is going to be what is being adapted for the live action screen. And we've come actually to learn, I mean, she did speak with Collider here recently, just talking about how she's trying to like balance the project, and she's got a few things working at once. Like she has Wonder Woman 1984. She had a TV project that's also on her plate. So how she's juggling it, and the kind of like the pressure of doing a Star Wars movie.
Right.
But talking about, I want to pull up the quote if I can.
She said that it wasn't going to be an adaptation, right?
Right. Yeah. She said that it's going to be its own thing. Again, the best fighter pilot movie that she can possibly make. So I'm really excited. And she also goes in that interview, you look it up for yourself. It talks about how, Wonder Woman has prepared her for this opportunity, and developing multiple projects. So it's pretty insightful there.
I like that it's not an adaptation, because I think historically, like, Star Wars doesn't adapt its own source material. Like the books they exist in tandem with the movies. They are not things for the movies to adapt, for movies or TVs to adapt straight, because they all sort of exist as, like I said, this tapestry. I think you sort of have a problem if you start using them as things to adapt directly off of, and especially if it's older Legends material, then you have 20 years worth of expectations for half the audience and absolutely no knowledge of it with the other half, and nobody's going to get what they wanted, because you're building in all these expectations for the audience that's going to be disappointed by your adaptation that now this other audience may not understand. So I feel like it's with the way Star Wars is set up, it's a lose-lose to do an adaptation. So I like that she's making it an original story.
I do too. And I think the logo gives us some insight. Great observation here by Phoenix. The logo makes it look like it's after Return of the Jedi, but Kennedy's comments about new future for Star Wars makes me think it's post the rise of Skywalker. Not sure though. Yeah, interestingly enough, all 10 of those titles that were announced on that Thursday Disney call, none of them specifically in the sequel trilogy era, which is interesting. How that's a drastic. That's significant. I mean, there's not one of them.
Not touching it, but we're trying to keep it upbeat, so I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, we're going to keep it positive tonight. Everyone wants to.
But I will say, like them saying a new era for Star Wars. They also said the same thing about Leslie Headland's series. And that turns out that's happening during the High Republic. By the time that comes out, it's not a new series. It's not a new era. We will have lived there for a couple of years already. And
BTW, if you go and watch that thing I told you about earlier with the Star Wars show, Leslie Headland talking about Empire Strikes Back, I could listen to her all day. Her insight, her perspective. She's talking about like Luke and like how he's going through all these emotions on Empire. It's incredible. And then Bryce Dallas Howard also. It's just I just want you to go check out that interview. It's freaking amazing.
On Star Wars, there's a quote going around by her on Twitter today, sort of her saying that she doesn't love one particular movie, she loves the story. And I'm like, yes, because if you're so specifically attached to one thing about it, you have a hard time breaking out of it. But if you are taking in all of it and you sort of are open to all of it, I think that makes for a better story. So I'm very excited that
I think you're absolutely right. No, I'm thrilled that she's part of the Star Wars story. It was also kind of funny because that whole like documentary thing that they ran, it was basically like every director in Mandalorian plus Diego Luna talking about why they love Empire. It really, really well done. A lot of people in here talking about they want to see the Battle of Jakku. So I think a lot of people are pulling for Return of the Jedi. I was mentioning the logo again. Yeah, that X-Wing fighter in the logo, people are trying to figure out which X-Wing that is and seeing if that will reveal where it's located. Hey, we got a Scotty J-Ro. He says we need a movie or a show between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I'm all for that. Personally, I'm all for that. Would love to play in that prequel time area. I think it'd be more fun to go between Clone War, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. But I know we got 7 seasons of Clone Wars, so that's probably unlikely. Also, I think we're going to get some flashbacks.
Early.
Flashbacks in Kenobi are going to be dope, though. I already got that. Josh here says, key quote from Kennedy, new generation of starfighter pilots suggests it's a new story and a new time. Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that.
But could the generation just mean the generation after Wedge? Like the kids that Wedge is training?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe these are pilots that are tied into maybe the Aftermath series. Or again, maybe it is post Rise of Skywalker. What if Rogue Squadrons was a pre The Force Awakens? Then you could use Poe and Snap without the pressure to need Rey, Finn, etc. I think that's interesting.
That would be great. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You and I are saying the same thing. Sam Carey, the second favorite era is post Return of the Jedi. From 4 ABY to 10 ABY interests me so much. I think that's like for like a lot of people. Like I think a lot of people want to play in that sandbox. So it's really it's a fun conversation. Again, I think that Patty Jenkins is great for Star Wars because one, she brings new perspective. You have your second female director announced in Star Wars. I believe Leslie Headland is writing and directing The Acolyte, right? So that's really exciting. You also get her perspective as a visual storyteller, which is unique as a Taika Waititi or as a Jon Favreau or a Dave Filoni. So that's really exciting. How she's able to build worlds and mold characters. Okay, we're getting a new squad of pilots here. Let's freaking go. This is going to be awesome. We want to know what you think. Let us know down in the live chat. If you're watching the rewind, drop a comment. Even if you're joining us live right now, please, at the end of the stream, refresh this show and drop us a comment. What is the Star Wars story you're most excited about that's coming out in the next 3 years? That's what we want you to tell us down in the comment section. It would be super fantastic if you do that. Of course, you can always tweet us at B2BD Star Wars. We've got a guest joining us now on the show. Look at this. He's a handsome fellow. He waxes his head, but you never know because he wears a hat all the time. We have, I'll get that lower third out there. Don't you worry, big guy. We got Josh Most with the most. Josh, how we doing, bud?
I am doing great. I've had a lot of fun in the chat. As a matter of fact, can you just kick me out so I can just stay in the chat? No, I'm kidding. No, it's fun. It's fun commenting with these geniuses in the chat. That's what I always love to do. And I got to just kind of play along with them. But no, I'm excited about what you guys were talking about. I think that's accurate. I think Patty's going to bring something cool. I've already stated this twice now, so I don't know if I should do it again, but I am so convicted on how much I want to support this project that she is creating. I think it's going to be amazing. And her little trailer that we got to see during the
oh my god, that was incredible. I didn't know like the connection with her dad and everything.
No, it was fantastic. It made me like kind of like stand up a little bit and be like, yes. And so I did. Look, there's a few things that can get me, and it's service to your country, which is service to others, and the loss of life during doing that. And so I like that she tied that back and she said, look, I hadn't found something that was right yet until now. And so this is like, if they're, and good or bad, which I think good, 100%, but good or bad, I know that this director is going into this project with 100% conviction and as everything she's got. The only thing that I hope is that she's given a creative license 100% through the whole thing. I hope that's my main thing. I hope that she gets to do her story. Now, to the point of the era, I like talking about it because I'm just making this up too. Like, I just went and I looked at Kennedy's statement, and Arzu, you already refuted it, which is fine. Like, there's different options. I don't know either.
We have no idea. That's what's exciting.
Just don't. The only point that I would make is I think that, and even Scotty's saying, like, I'd love to see a movie between Attack of the Clones and Rise of the Sith. Good for you. But I think that and that's
Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Phantom Menace and Attack of the Well, okay. Well, then maybe I actually read it wrong, so I won't say what I was going to say. But I will say this. I think that Clone Wars, the animated series, has done an amazing job, actually an over-encompassing job of covering that era of Star Wars. I'm satisfied, and I know some others aren't, and I think you can go fill your satisfaction through books and even extended universe stuff in that era, and really make yourself feel good about that era. No offense, but I'm okay with that era as is. I don't need much more. I mean, fine. I don't mind callbacks where, if Kenobi to me would be an extension of that, and which I'm very excited about. And then I think that The Mandalorian and Rogue One, all those are kind of filling in those gaps between The Force Awakens and Return of the Jedi. And I think that there's still a little room in that era for us to put some really good stories in that are worthy of film and time and all of that speculation. But I do have an issue with the name Rogue Squadron being used.
What?
Oh, I got kicked out. The name Rogue Squadron being used after the Rise of Skywalker. I feel like that's very Rebel and not Resistance. And correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. As I feel like Rogue Squadron is very tied to the Rebel, cause, which the Resistance cause is a little different. It's not an empire. So I'm okay with them gapping in a Rogue Squadron story between The Force Awakens and let's say post Mandalorian. We don't know when the Mandalorian is going to end, but let's say it's squeezed into that timeline overlapping, which would be awesome because then we'll get tiebacks to the Mandalorian, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't see Rogue Squadron happening after Rise of Skywalker. I
agree with you.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it'll be after the Rise of Skywalker either.
Good. Yeah, and that's why I see it as being tied to the Rebels and the Rebels. So anyway, we've talked about that quite a bit, but yeah. So there you go. That was my take in the chat.
Everyone's freaking out because you're not wearing sunglasses. The live chat.
No. Sunglasses are for Friday nights.
Matthew's like, Josh is using the "with all due respect" tone a lot tonight. Not trying to step on anybody's toes, Joshy. Oh my gosh, we're having a good time. Oh, we got JLS Comics in the live chat too. That's really cool. And also, I saw this: the girl in the BTBD shirt. Oh man, do I want to meet
who is that?
I don't care what era of the show they make, just as long as they keep Star Wars alive in any timeline. I love that my kids are so into The Mandalorian, and it's given us a bridge between generations. I need to know who this is.
By the way, the best name ever on any social media platform. So,
oh my God, that's awesome. Hey, we're gonna talk collectibles real quick. So it sounds like Josh and I are going to take this. Arzu's going to step aside real quick. Arzu will check back in with you so we can answer fan questions coming up in less than 7 minutes.
Whoa.
So really excited for that.
I have 7 minutes.
Oh yeah, we got fan questions. Well, I think it's gonna be okay because we're just talking about one collectible this week, and I think that this is a hefty one. This is big. I want to spend my money on this, and I don't know if that'll be allowed. But we have the Moff Gideon Hot Toy. This dropped within the last 24 hours, and this is not Giancarlo Esposito.
Look at that sculpt.
That's a toy. That's not him.
No. This is a work of art.
Hot Toy unveils the Mandalorian's Moff Gideon figure as the end of year is approaching. And the second season of Disney Plus, or the second season of The Mandalorian, is to wrap up on Disney Plus. Hot Toys has unveiled this new figure in its collection for The Mandalorian. Giancarlo Esposito's menacing galactic empire leader Moff Gideon drops somewhere late spring 2022. My goodness, Josh, you and I, oh my gosh. I mean, the realism in this thing, and I want to pull this up real quick. This is this is the figure, and it's incredible. The detail they go with this. And I don't know if you know this already, but are you aware of the price point on this bad boy?
$299 or $249.
So right now, yeah, $250 right now. It's going to drop somewhere between April and July of 2022. And this figure is ridiculous. Initial impression, again, the realism. If it's a close-up shot, it looks like the human being is breathing in front of me.
It's look, there's, Hot Toys is actually kind of like distributed by Sideshow. And if you go online, you look at Sideshow, you're going to get that there's higher detail in Sideshow's kind of like overall presentation, but Hot Toys has the face sculpts. They nail the face sculpts. And I don't know what that is. And really, I don't care. Like if there are two different companies riding under the same tag or the same website for that matter, I'm fine with it. But this is, I don't even know how to describe what's happening, because there are so many great Hot Toys that are coming out from the Mandalorian, which are all coming out next year. You got to pre-order the heck out of them. This is a new area for me as a collector. I've obviously been a self-proclaimed reformist on Black Series, recently self-proclaimed reformist on Black Series, where my initial goal was to get rid of Black Series in my collection to buy Hot Toys. And I've come to the conclusion that just because of the pacing of a Hot Toy and the satisfaction, and actually quite literally the shift from Black Series to their new packaging has made me more attractive to them. I've just kind of been like, look, the money's already spent. Why not just keep it all? So, but Hot Toys, this figure right here is just insane. Here's the other thing that frustrates me about Hot Toys in a good way. See all these different poses that are flashing on your screen?
Yeah.
These are all obtainable with a Hot Toy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I always kind of scoffed when I heard someone talk about like points of articulation.
Yep.
But this is 1/6 scale collectible. Okay. There's over 30 points of articulation, and you have multiple interchangeable gloved hands.
Yep.
You have different ways you can pose the character. You get two different
There's
dark
the pick
saber
right there
blades
on your screen right there. That's the pick. And go ahead. I'll make my point in a sec.
No, I just think it's cool. Like you get one dark saber where it's just the blade, and then you get the one where it's like this one here on your screen where it looks like it's like being swung. Like the detail and the options that you get. Hell, you get the blaster pistol. Like you can have so much fun modifying the way this piece sits on your shelf. You're not playing with it, you're displaying it. So to me, as someone who doesn't collect these, it is super exciting. And like the price point, $250, is way more affordable. Some of these Hot Toys are $500, $600, $700, $800.
That's aftermarket though. The issue is like, look, if you want to get into a Hot Toy, get into it at the rack rate, which is from Hot Toys, from pre-order. But as soon as these things sell out, and they all do, well, for the most part they do, then they double in value. They'll go 1/3, 2/3, double in value. So, and by the way, the point on the articulation, and here's the thing as a collector that's very difficult for me. I have to put a Hot Toys box away that has all these different hands and even different weapons in the box, because at the time that I displayed it, I decided to display it one way, but they give you so many options. I mean, I have a Hot Toy that has a lever on the back of its head, and I'm not revealing it right now because I actually want to demonstrate it later. And you put the hair on top and you can't ever see the lever. It moves the eyes so that you can make your display figure look the direction you want it to look. And that's just what blows my mind. So my whole point being, if you see all of these different articulation points, it's because they give you all the options. For $250, you're literally getting a masterpiece. This is an upgrade in your collecting field. If you're a new collector and you wanted to start with 1, 2, or 3 Hot Toys, you've already got an automatic upgrade on most collections out there.
Yeah, I'm in love with this figure. And again, from $250, like that's, if you want to have like a piece, like I think that you have some of the Black Series helmets, for example. I know Pete has a lot of them, and that's like that can be anywhere from $80 to $150 a pop. And and I don't know if the helmets do a whole lot for me, but as someone who can appreciate a really solid figure, this is really cool. And I'm all about this. And again, this is going to be dropping. This dropped earlier this week. I believe this dropped on Monday, but it's slated for release between April and June. April and June of 2022, retails for $250 and can be pre-ordered online. We'll have that link for you on beyondtheblastdoors.com. We'll also tweet it out after the show and share it on our community tab on YouTube. Josh, anything that we haven't talked about this figure that we need to address because it's gorgeous?
I can just say this, is that the Mandalorian, look, we could say we had the dark times between the prequels and the original trilogy. We had the dim times during the sequels. From a toy perspective, we really did. I just don't think their marketing hit. And I don't think that was anyone's fault. I think they were trying. But right now, the Mandalorian has rekindled the collector sphere when it comes to these amazing items. And not all of them are going to hit. And that's what I like, is like, if you throw enough stuff at the wall, something will stick. And that's what we're getting right now. So don't feel overwhelmed. If you're not into hot toys, it's okay, because there's about 10 other avenues you can go down and be completely satisfied. But I'm just appreciative of the fact that I can get a Moff Gideon, who is absolutely fantastic in the hot toy or the Black Series or even the 3 3/4 figures, and complete my collection or start my collection or whatever. This is a great time to be a Star Wars fan. It's a great time to be a Star Wars collector.
I mean, what more do you need to say? Josh Most with Hollow Chronicles joining us here on BTB Live, talking about Hot Toys' new beautiful Moff Gideon figure. $250. It can be yours in April to June of 2022. The pre-order is already available. We'll have that link down in the description below. What do you think of this figure? Will you buy it? Do you know someone who would like to buy it? Why do you like it so much? Tell us down in the comments. We want to know. Now, that said, Josh, we got some fan questions in here. Do you want to stick around and talk about? And
yeah, you know, I'm open. I can either have fun in the chat or stay here.
Well, why don't we do both? Why don't you be you son of a gun? Why don't you be you clown? Why don't you be the chat moderator?
Sure. I don't have access, but I will be happy to answer all questions that pop up.
Well, then you know what? Then I'll just be doing it, and that's totally fine. Hey, listen, I'm just happy that we're able to do this because I needed this. I really did. I really needed this week, and I'm so happy that you two are here, that we have everyone in live chat. It's been like the live chat is best described as ruckus right now. It is a wild time in there, so it's really cool.
They're not even listening.
I'm sorry.
They're not even listening. They're all having their own conversation.
Well, it is a separate show in the live chat, right? Real quick, and this is like literally 15 seconds, Josh, on the clock. One thing you like about Rogue One, because it is its 4-year anniversary.
Oh, 15 seconds on the clock. Okay, the one thing I like about Rogue One, and I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it again, it was a complete departure from kind of your Star Wars, kind of, I guess, path, and I called it the modern warfare of Star Wars. I love the raw, down, boots on the ground type of feel, especially with Cassian, who's now getting his own series. That Cassian feel that started right at the beginning, where it was like he's choking a guy, and it's rough, and now he's got to escape from a trooper patrol. That to me, and it held, and there was no force user that changed the outcome via their superpowers. Am I at my 15 seconds? Probably am.
That was really impressive. I didn't think you were going to hit it.
Thank you.
I really thought you were going to go longer. I'm glad I
got to stop when you got to stop.
You know, you got to stop when I pull you back in that triple box. All right. So that's the rule here on Beyond the Blast Doors Live. Okay. I don't know why I did that accent. Let's go. First question. This is fun. Okay. Reminder, you can always tweet us your Star Wars question or a topic you want us to discuss at the end of the show at BTBD Star Wars. Matthew, proud Patreon supporter of Beyond the Blast Doors Live. He says Rogue One was a Rebel Alliance starfighter squadron founded by Luke Skywalker during the Galactic Civil War. Do you think Luke Skywalker will show up in this movie? I think he has to, and they will CGI a young Luke face or recast it with Sebastian Stan. This is, listen, everyone wants a Luke somehow, one way or the other. Everyone's saying live action Luke, let's make it Sebastian Stan. This has been a fan casting for maybe going back the last 4 or 5 years. I think if you're going to take the gamble and you're going to recast Han Solo with Alden Ehrenreich for Solo, a Star Wars story, I think the one question that the creators need to ask themselves is, how committed are we to Luke Skywalker as a character and Luke's story for the next 3 to 5 years? Because if you're going to pick someone who's younger, there's kind of like that sweet spot where they can portray that younger version of that character. And so you sure do have CGI, and you can sure de-age somebody, but that's also a lot more expensive. And these series are playing with smaller budgets. Now we're talking about the movie. Do I think Luke Skywalker could show up? Possibly. I think there's a greater chance that Luke Skywalker shows up on the big screen than on streaming on Disney Plus. Now that said, though, we already know that Rogue Squadron, all new characters. So I'm gonna reverse it. I think we are more likely to see Luke Skywalker in season 3 of The Mandalorian than Rogue Squadron. And if I'm wrong, I'm gonna be a very happy person. I got Arzu rolling her eyes at me.
I'm not rolling my eyes at you.
Arzu, why do you not like this question posed by Matthew?
So it's not that I don't like the question. I think it's a valid question.
It's a great question.
I love Luke Skywalker. Let me make that clear. There are people in my life that I like Luke Skywalker more than. But my thing with Luke Skywalker is when he shows up, he invariably dominates the story. Even in The Force Awakens, which I like. A lot of the story is dominated by him not being there. So even his absence kind of took over the story. So I think if you want to tell a story with all new characters, it's dangerous to put Luke Skywalker in there. You run the risk of him taking over. It becomes a Luke Skywalker story again. And the new characters don't get their chance to shine, which I think you guys know. I feel like with some other stories that ultimately the problem was focusing too much on legacy and not enough on the new characters, the new stories we're trying to tell. First of all. Second of all, my thing with Sebastian Stan is he looks like Mark Hamill if he's not moving. I think the minute they start to like talk and be people and not pictures, the resemblance starts to fade.
I think that's
if they do bring him back, I don't know that that's the best choice, but I would be hesitant to put Luke Skywalker in anything because I think he would take over the story.
I think that's interesting. And Matthew, who's with us in the live chat, says, "Be gentle. I named my son after Luke Skywalker."
Let me be clear. I really genuinely like Luke Skywalker. I light up when he shows up in like any of the EU books because he doesn't show up a lot. That's another thing is he spends so much time in the post Return of the Jedi era and even sort of in between alone. He spends a lot of time by himself, a lot of time discovering what it means to be a Jedi, going on journeys. He's not, he's not on base. He's not training with the pilots. He's not there. So
I'm with you. I think
they talk about him. I don't think that's totally unrealistic, but
a lot of great points, Arzu. Josh, real quick, your reaction to this? Do we get a Luke Skywalker in Star Wars Rogue Squadron?
I have a different take on Luke in general, and I've got this little this whole theme I've had for since Monday, and I'll bring it out right now. It's called screen time. So Luke Skywalker, while he is the main character of the original trilogy, if you really think about the amount of time that Luke Skywalker spent on screen, I'm not talking about the sequels, which even then we didn't even have him in The Force Awakens until the very end. If you think about that, Luke Skywalker, his name, his legend is much larger than his screen time. Okay, it really is. And Arzu, I love the EU bring up because that's exciting too. That's why you got excited. That's why I got excited. It's like, oh crap, more Luke info, because you really don't have Luke info. As it pertains to taking over, we had a little bit of those issues or thoughts or comments when it came to Boba Fett stepping in on the Mando. We're talking about a legend that's bigger than his screen time. It's bigger than the role that he actually played in the movies. Came in and could have been perceived as someone that stepped on Mando, and by my own compadre, who is super, super smart when it comes to Star Wars, felt that way. So, and I have a lot more to say about this, but David, you put me in the 3 box, so take it away.
It's supposed to be the most subtle hint to shut your mouth.
Presence.
What was it, Arzu?
I said I agree with Josh. I think like the legend of Luke Skywalker outweighs the actual
100%, and that's why I'm not opposed. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to say this, David, to hell with the 3 box. I am more, and I'm scared. I'm a little like I'm not sure, but I'm starting to feel a little more like I don't even want to say it. Luke might show up on Friday. I don't know, and I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it. And so your question was Rogue Squadron. The issue might be he might show up on Friday. And if he shows up on Friday in any form, and I don't know who the actor will be, it'll be small. it will be powerful. And to Arzu's point, it could run the risk of pushing the Mandalorian out of his front role. But I've also said that I don't think the Mandalorian is the lead character in the Mandalorian. So I don't know. I'm scared of that.
I know David wants to move on. He keeps like 3-boxing us. But the thing about Boba Fett is, you know, there is that section of the fandom that up until 2 weeks ago was like, Boba Fett is life. But most people are like, okay, Boba Fett is here. Boba Fett is a part of this world, but he's not like the be all end all. But everybody knows who Luke Skywalker is. Everybody is aware of Luke Skywalker and what he does and what he's like and what his life is.
What's wrong with that?
There's
What's
nothing
wrong with that?
I think that if the story is not about Luke Skywalker and it's supposed to be about a whole new cast, and you bring Luke Skywalker into it, then it becomes about Luke Skywalker.
Ahsoka came in too, and she has far more screen time than Luke. Far more.
General wise, she's not as big as Luke Skywalker is.
Of course she's not, because the legend was built off a legacy original trilogy. That's why I'm saying Luke Skywalker might deserve the screen time. If we're going to give it to Ahsoka, if we're going to give her all these accolades, if we're going to give her a red carpet that she shows up in a major series for Star Wars that is highly successful, why not Luke?
Then give Luke
I'll go ahead and be my own devil's advocate. Luke got his chance in the sequels, and that was it. So I don't want it to be Luke. Let me be clear. I don't want it to be Luke, but I might want it to be Luke.
There's a great in-between story to tell about Luke between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. There is so much to tell about him because of everything.
I don't disagree with that.
And to be fair, a point that you both made was Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy talking about when you brought Luke into Force Awakens, for example. Let's talk about J.J. Abrams' point. Once you brought Luke in, the story became about Luke. So he kept Luke off to the very end. Now, you can disagree or agree with how Luke's story gets told in those next two movies.
What to do with Luke?
Huh?
He didn't want the burden of having to do something with Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Because
I think David's right.
I think the minute you bring Luke in, he takes over. So I don't think he wanted to figure that out.
Right.
That's what I think. As much as I love The Force Awakens, I'm not slamming The Force Awakens, but I think he didn't want to have to deal with it.
He should have been the one to get the saber out of the snow. Damn it!
No, because it's not Luke's story. It's Rey's. If Luke comes and saves Rey from Kylo Ren, then what is her story?
And I guess the final question I'll ask is, why isn't it? Why isn't it Luke's story? What's the issue with it being Luke's story? At no point during my life do I want to be like, okay, I'm done with anybody caring about what I do. No, I want to continue to do good things for as long as I can. And, I guess maybe you could say kids. My kids come along and I'll defer to them. You be better and I'll give you whatever I can to help you get there. But I don't want Luke to not be great. So enough with Luke. I don't think it's going to be Luke. Like, as a matter of fact, I'll bet money it's not going to be Luke. But
so Josh says Luke will not be in Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Arzu, yes or no, will Luke be there?
I sincerely hope not.
I say no. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's more likely in the streaming shows on Disney Plus. We want to know what you think. What's your take? Hey, that turned into a great conversation. My goodness, I'm sweating right now.
I love you, Arzu.
This is
it's all love. We all do. It's all love.
This is why we do this show. Like, we love talking Star Wars, and we have different perspectives, right? Like, I'm different from Arzu and different from Josh. We just talking the love of the franchise, the love of the saga. And we're just respectful about it. Some people are assholes, and you don't need to be. All right, so here's my thing. It is 8:10. It's 10:08. 10:08. So are you guys okay with? We got 2 more questions. Do we do one more and save one till next week?
I'm okay with it.
You're the one with the 3-box, man. You're in control.
It's your call.
Well, then
even though we stomped on your 3-box.
Yeah, you absolutely crapped on mine. Again, the art of the 3-box is a subtle signal to the talent to wrap it up. You get about 10 seconds. You get about 10 seconds, And that's me. It's Arzu. I mean, let's try and be professionals here. I mean, we're trying really hard. Everyone's having fun. The live chat's like, keep it going. So,
I think we need to have like a literal most versus I'm in, like our heads like almost touching, like a UFC type of, and where we just go at it for a while.
Well, that's what I have this, and I can also make this look like this. I can do this. It's really
no. I just want to. I want like, and then Arzu. I don't think you can look mean, but you can try really hard.
My eyes flash when I get angry. People get scared.
So much fun.
So when you know you have the wrath, okay, we'll be careful of those fluttering eyes. Okay, let's do this. Let's knock it out.
Flashing eyes.
Next question here on BTB Live, episode 101. What am I kidding? Beyond the Blast Doors Live. We're going to say it proud. No, we're going to shorten that. It's Beyond the Blast Doors Live, damn it. That's what we're doing. Hey, I literally was asked today if Luke is stronger than Vader. Do I guess? I'll pass that on to you guys. Anubis316 tweeting that today to us. So we appreciate that. And I think that's a great question, guys, is, that age-old debate, who's stronger? And I would say between Vader and Luke, I think it's a no-brainer. It's got to be Luke Skywalker, right, Arzu?
Okay, my question is stronger how? Like physically stronger or like mentally stronger?
I would say
we talking about squats here? No, sorry.
If it's like mental, personal, inner strength, I would say Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Because like
if you would say conviction to a cause, you would have to say Vader. I mean, Luke couldn't even handle it on Dagobah for like a day or two.
Yeah, like Vader, but then Vader has, the practice of being Anakin Skywalker, being stuck in a cause. So Vader's like, okay, if I'm going in, I'm going in fully. Whereas Luke is like, I have to get out. And his whole, because he was like that on Tatooine, and his whole lesson that he has to learn over the OT is like, it's not always about running to the next thing. It's about seeing something through. You don't run to the next thing and kill Vader. You see it through and you bring your father back. And he does.
Yep. I don't disagree with that.
I think that's like a really solid take.
Luke Skywalker, in terms of inner strength, is my...
Vader definitely has...
had it long enough with a lightsaber, and they weren't related to each other, so they didn't have stakes in keeping each other alive.
What does Gilster mean with sorry but no way? Is Gilster saying Vader's stronger?
I don't know. But I will say this: Vader definitely has a more powerful backstroke, like a back squat. Like he's putting up like 600, 700 pounds. He's got those bionic legs and arms. Like he can deadlift a lot more. But like I think through the Force, I think Vader's too beaten. I'm gonna say the son is stronger here.
Endurance, it's Vader because he's got
Can you say that only because he's wearing black and he's a dark side? Oh, sorry, Arzu.
No, I was just saying Vader's probably got better endurance. He could run a marathon better than Luke could, but otherwise I think it's Luke.
You think? I guess because he's machine.
He's more machine than man. Come on.
All right.
It's performance enhancing drugs for Vader. I get it.
I think McGuire should still be in the Hall of Fame.
Question. That's a fun question. Never thought about it. Pretty fun question. I'll think about it more. I don't have a good answer. I'll take either. I could debate either side. So that's fun. I'll do it tonight with my wife, and then I'll sleep on the couch. I was going to say, I'm sure she's going to love that. Let's go to the next question. This is from Sam Carey, who is also the winner of the Beyond the Blast Doors Live holiday giveaway, that beautiful Star Wars Black Series snowspeeder that Josh donated to the cause. In the mail. It's there.
He arrived it. He actually received it.
He got it. Sorry, I was a busy day today.
He asked, with all the shows announced last Thursday, it seems that the possibilities are endless when it comes to Star Wars storytelling. If you could create a Star Wars live-action miniseries for Disney, what would it be about? What is your pitch? If you're asking me, I'll tell you this right now. If you come up to me and you're asking David, in your ideal world, what is live-action series on Disney Plus for you? All I'm going to say is I'm going to get a stack of 25 comic books Charles Soule wrote, Darth Vader, 2017. I'm going to wrap them up in a little bit of a bow. I'm just going to hand them to you. I'm going to say, do this. It doesn't need to be 5 seasons long, but my goodness, Darth Vader, after Order 66 is executed, let's go hunt the Jedi. We're learning over time that more Jedi survived Order 66 than we originally anticipated. We thought only like 3 or 4 survived. There seems to be about a dozen at this point that have been able to somehow avoid slaughter from the Dark Lord. So I would like to go and explore, okay, here you have, Vader hunting down these Jedi, and he has to rebuild himself, and he's trying to get adjusted to his body and like the pain in his body, and he's having like this inner conflict about, Padme, and did he fail, and Obi-Wan, and is this the right decision to still do? And we've learned through the comics that, Vader consistently is questioning himself. And then you get this whole like other element of him and Palpatine's basically testing him to the point where it's pushing Vader's limits. Kind of going back to our previous conversation, Vader's probably stronger, honestly, because Palpatine has tried to kill him so many times that Vader has to come back to. And so Vader is having to push the limits of this mechanical, monstrosity that he's become, he's always upgrading himself, which is kind of cool, kind of like Grievous callback in a way. And so I think that would be a lot of fun. I mean, you could take things from Greg Pak's story if you wanted to. The timeline's not exactly right, but you could have like Vader going back to Naboo and uncovering Padme's tomb and the Queen's handmaidens. Like there's like a lot of fun story there. So that would be my pitch for a Disney Plus series. I think you could do it in 1, maybe 2 seasons. It's comic book, so I understand that there's only 22 pages there, but you can expand a story. Like it's been done before, folks. Rogue One, a movie that we've celebrated tonight for its 40th anniversary. Rogue One was based on what, like 5 lines of dialogue. Like I think it can happen. So that's my pitch. I'd like to know, Arzu, I'll go to you. What is your pitch? What is your live action Disney Plus series?
Not a single person in the chat's going to agree with me, and neither will either of you. So my pitch for a miniseries, everybody knows I was very deeply devastated at the end of The Rise of Skywalker when one of my favorite characters, Ben Solo, died unceremoniously. So because we know now that death means absolutely nothing in Star Wars, my miniseries pitch would be 4 to 6 episodes of getting him back. Some afterlife. I know that's not how the World Between Worlds works. I also know it's television and the World Between Worlds works exactly however you want it to. So we get him back from the World Between Worlds. We get him back from some force beyond something, but that's what I would want. Ideally with the cast of the movie. If it's animation, it's animation. But I think the question was live action. So
it's live action.
That would be my pitch. Would be a maybe 4-episode miniseries of bringing Ben Solo back.
I'm actually down for this because you and I have talked about the Ben Solo story in comic form that Charles Soule wrote. Wasn't necessarily my favorite. You liked some parts, didn't like others. Listen, I think Ben Solo could have been far more utilized in Rise of Skywalker and wasn't. It's a shame. Let's go play with Ben Solo as a Jedi apprentice under Luke Skywalker. Like that would be great.
Like I like the comic in isolation. I don't like it following the Rise of Skywalker because not the EU because that's that gets confusing. But the canon material now makes such an effort to explain why Ben Solo is the way he is, and the fact that Palpatine has been in his head since Leia was pregnant with him. Like that's how long he's been in his head, and that he's kind of grooming him and sort of making him think a certain way and feel a certain way, setting him up what I thought for a redemption, because they're sort of not washing the blame away, but sort of making him a little more complex than just psycho boy with daddy issues.
Right.
And then for him, his arc to end the way you would expect a nameless villain who is not the son of our heroes, for it to end that way seemed like a very bizarre choice given the setup he was given. So because of that, that's why my pitch for a live action series would be.
I think it's solid. I'm going to flex a little bit here, Frammy.
Rise of Skywalker. I don't want more. I don't want to cry harder about what this boy has been through, only for it to still end where the Rise of Skywalker does.
Yeah, you're fine. Yes, Jedi Purge all the way. Frammy likes my point. BVB would pitch an entirely new Jedi character. That's cool. Great pitch, David. Love those comics. Great pitch, David. Do we have any more of the? No more of those, huh? No more of those ones. All right, that's fine. I was hoping more people would like my idea. Love is coming in here for Arzu. We got Watto's Antiques Roadshow pitched to us in the live chat by Nick. That's a lot of fun. Rancor King. Okay, that's interesting. Canon Junkie in here. No money, no antiques, no deal. Nubian. That's how he talks, right? That's how he talks. Hey, Josh, what's your pitch? What is your pitch for a live action?
My pitch, I've been sitting here just thinking the entire time while you guys have been talking, and I can't keep up with the chat because actually when Nick put up his Watto's, yeah, I'm sold on that. I guess I've already stated. I'll say it in 2 ways, which I guess is a good nod to being a fan right now. I wanted what The Mandalorian is giving us. The Mandalorian is giving us a ground level view, a boots on the ground view with some higher level shots when we get a Bo-Katan or a Ahsoka Tano coming in and bringing that larger presence, and let me go on the record and say, look, I just like the idea of, I don't even like the idea of Luke showing up. So that's why I like The Mandalorian. It's a little ground level, and that takes me back to Solo. My favorite part in Solo is when Solo is the stormtrooper on Mimban. That's amazing to me. The mud, I mean, the World War II callbacks, just that gritty part of yeah, we may be having a sword fight in the most devastating super base in the world, but there's people dying on the ground, and that's again why I loved Rogue One. I felt like that was a more connectable show from a human perspective. Now we're in a galaxy far, far away, and we have a lot of different species, but that for me made me feel like, oh, I would be terrified in that moment because I don't know how to force jump 30 feet. I can't even jump 3 inches. So I do know what it might feel like to be tucked behind, a container with fire, laser fire, or gunfire coming over the top of me. So I think, to me, anything gritty, anything raw, anything truthful, and it doesn't have to be mystic all the time, but also very Star Wars connected, which I believe for the most part, and they'll diverge in their own ways, the Mandalorian is giving us, and definitely Rogue One gave us. I would take any of that. And that's why Rogue Squadron is super intriguing to me, because I feel like that might be the kind of show. So I don't have a good pitch. As a matter of fact, I'm going to steal Nick's pitch. It's Watto's Antique Roadshow. Done.
Nubian. Oh, that was so good. I'm with you. I think you have a lot of points, and like I said, or I was about to say, Star Wars Rogue Squadron is probably going to be right up your alley. Until you said Mystic, I was going to say The Acolyte with Leslie Headland could be
right, and we don't know, right?
We don't know yet. So a lot to uncover. Originally, I think next week, I think I want to talk about like old comics, and I want to rank the 10 titles we got next week. I think that's what we should do, is we should rank,
I think you're right,
10 to 1, those 10 things. I mean, listen, we're going to be talking about these 10 new Star Wars stories for like years. So like we've got time. I want to shout out Sam Carey. God, he's so good. Sam is so good with us.
Look at that.
Great
Sam.
show tonight. Black Series Snowspeeder arrived same day as it snowed here. It looks great on my shelf.
Dude, is it out of the box? Which I think it is, because it's on your shelf. Maybe in the box. I don't know. You take that thing out and you gently, with the towel after you're done, put it in the snow. You put Dak just kind of laying there. Well, did he ever pull him? No, he never got out. Just leave him in there. It's fine. Throw some snow in there with him.
Get a photo. Tweet us some photos.
I want a photo of a snow speeder in the snow. We don't have that opportunity here because it friggin' just rains all the time where I live. Oh, come on, Sam. Come on, Sam.
I can get you snow.
We'll post it.
Hey, let's get a little love here for Arzu's pitch. I want Arzu's Ben Solo pitch, but instead of going to the world between worlds, they have to go to Mortis to bring him back.
Yes, I like that. That's better than what I said.
It would be a nice wink to the Duel of the Fates. I think that's genius.
I'm down for Mortis. I really like the Mortis arc. So,
wow. I'll leave my treatment for the Lando series in the comments because it's too long for the chat. Ben
and Lando, by the way, for me, I think is that gritty. I hope it's that gritty, cool show. Like Lando doesn't have any special characteristics other than a cape and a sweet mustache, and I'm fine with that. I can take a cape and a sweet mustache and rock that for like 2 seasons. As long as he's in there, he's doing his thing. He's got grit, right? He survived. He made it through. He knows how to play cards. Come on. He knows how to get the ladies, especially the robot ones. Let's do this.
Sheev Palpatine as Galactic Bachelor.
Sheev's Company.
Sheev's Company with
leave it to
Sheev's Company too. Hey, I hope you can tell that we have
my door.
An absolute blast here on Beyond the Blast Doors Live. Josh joining us, it means so much. Live chat has been rocking all night. Like we've had at one point more than 30 people with us, which is always fun. We just want to grow our Star Wars conversation. If you had fun tonight with our live show, do us a solid, okay? Please share our live stream on social media. Tag 3 people that don't know about Beyond the Blast Doors and give them a reason. Tell them a reason why they need to check out our show, check out our channel, and join our Star Wars conversation. It would mean so much. JLS Comics, my pitch would be a barbecue show with Aunt Beru.
With Aunt Beru, the love she.
That's right on the nose. That's right on the nose, bro. Wow.
Keyword.
And I'm focusing on the Aunt Beru side. Give her the love she deserves.
Okay, so you're actually not making the joke. You want to go back for Beru's.
I'm going to take that as a serious pitch.
I love it. I love it.
And make a case for Aunt Beru.
Milking with Beru.
We got a lot of excitement coming up here on the Beyond Blast Doors Network in the next couple of days. Still trying to patch out all the details, but what we can tell you for sure is happening 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We are going live. We are going to do a mega call-in show live here on Beyond the Blast Doors. We're all going to try and be there. I'm going to be there. Josh is going to be there. I think Arzu's going to be there. If she's not going to be there in this moment, I'm going to try and convince her between now and then to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to close out the season 2 of Mandalorian. We are doing our Secret Santa that we did here on the network. So we all got each other gifts. And as we go through our breakdown of this final episode and the season overall, we're going to be pulling gifts out of boxes and seeing what inappropriate or appropriate things we were all given. Someone got a banana hammock.
They should be appropriate. Come on. Gilster just hit us with a super chat. Gilster's got a super chat in there for us.
Oh, let's do it. What do you say? It's Late Night with Zuckus show and Max Rebo band. Tonight's guest, Darth Vader. Well, I can't get you Darth Vader, but I can get you a Darth Flexer. Pete Flexer can be on that show, and he can be the guest with Zuckus and the Max Rebo band.
Darth Flexer. I think he would take that.
Of all the things that we have on this show, I think we need like a live band to give us like breaks once in a while, like play us out for 30 seconds. I'll work on that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, why not cut our viewers in half?
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a good idea. Daniel's hot topics real quick. Who do you think was casted for Grand Admiral Thrawn? We don't know that someone's been casted yet, but we're not going to answer that question because this is what I want to have happen. I want you to tweet us that question at BTBD Star Wars so we answer it on next week's show. Do that for us. Hey, we went long this week.
Sure.
I just want to say thanks for all the folks giving us those super chats. Means a lot. Guarantee your question gets answered or your comment gets read on our show if you throw that super chat. I am going to ask Mr. Josh Most with the most. If the people want to continue the Star Wars conversation with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Please come chat with us at Holochronicles on Twitter. We love it. We love talking to you. We love responding, liking, and retweeting. And then, of course, look for us on YouTube /Beyond the Blast Doors to follow all our videos. You can even find us on Facebook, Beyond the Blast Doors, or whatever. Email us at Holochronicles. I don't care. Here's my personal address. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, come find us.
That seemed risky. Arzu, if they want to continue the conversation, where's the best place for them to do that with you?
So you can find me on Twitter. I am at Arzu Amin. Nice and easy. Sharing my opinions, whether you want to hear them or not, and I'm never wrong. I'm also at my website, arzud2.com. I just posted my last review for the year. I am done with the canon books. I've made it all the way through. All I have left is Novelizations and the High Republic, which is next year. There might be a special review just for the holidays, like this weekend maybe. So if you want to see what that is, arzud2.com is where you can find me.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. Arzu, that was awesome. And also I want to shout 2 people real quick. Again, big thanks to Pete. The Hyper Toy Drive did wrap up. Somewhere just south of 200 gifts were given to kids with Toys for Tots. So that's almost 200 kids that got a Christmas gift on the tree this year.
Awesome Christmas gift.
Yeah, awesome.
Did you see the back of that? There were so many Legos, and I mean, you guys did an amazing thing. Those are real toys. These aren't cast-offs. These aren't canned goods that you pulled out for a paper bag. These are great gifts. I'm so impressed and stoked. Sorry, David, I walk all over you, but I'm just excited. You guys are amazing. Also, Scotty J. Rowe is super cool. He was in the live chat tonight. I would say that if you wanted to just take a second and tweet at Scotty J. Rowe and tell him why you appreciate him and tell him to stay bomb bad, I think it would really mean a lot to him. So that guy just has a few things going on in his life. And I think that if we all just send him some positive vibes, I think he'd appreciate that. Positive vibes to you people for making this show so great. Beyond the Blast Doors Live, episode 101. Thanks for joining us. Be sure you do us a favor. As soon as this live stream finishes, please, as soon as this show finishes, hit that refresh button and comment in the comment section so they live forever so we can continue the Star Wars conversation. The question that we want to know is, of all the new Star Wars stories that got announced on that Disney investor call, what excites you the most? It's really that simple. That's all we want to know. Comment down below. We'll jump in the comments. Josh, Arzu, and I, Pete, will all get on there and we will talk with you about what is that next Star Wars story that excites us. We'll see you next week. We'll see you Friday.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.